Sup, fellow Fuga enjoyers, and spoiler warning for chapter 10 through 12. Anyways, let me get this straight. I'm changing the style of editing because there's a lot of story in chapter 10 through 12. Don't get me wrong, I'm still going to cover it, but I'm just gonna summarize it like I did with some of the story in the first video. If I wouldn't, then the video would be over an hour long, which is something I don't really want unless I make a video on an entire chapter. You can see this as a way for me to let you experience the game more for yourself, and me moving towards better editing. Even though it might not be that good. But what even is good editing? Well, that doesn't matter since we have Fuga to get to. Chapter 10. It's a pretty long chapter and very important too since it covers a lot of the story. It's more or less about anticipation. The kids are getting close to reaching their parents and the voice over the radio is being creepy for reasons that we'll find out. Now, that's a red flag if I've ever seen one. I mean, you're practically listening to one if that wasn't already obvious. But I promise, I'm not as bad. I'm simply curious with a dash of immorality. Speaking of immorality, after blowing up a bunch of empty drones and vehicles that they consider not to be driven by people, because taking another life is bad unless you're Jin who actively wanted to kill Kish for revenge and thinks that machines of mass destruction are cool, they find a mysterious letter in the wreckage. They open the letter, with Brits being the only one able to read its disturbing contents that we'll be made aware of later. The contents were apparently so disturbing that Brits tore the letter apart before tossing it away. The kids progress towards the camp and are met with a growing resistance. If you choose the dangerous routes, this would entail fighting the bosses of chapter 2, 4, and 6, and 8, like, straight up. They're the same, no reskin, just deadass the same bosses again. Anyways, Brits gets sad and looks at the picture of his mother and sister that is in his pendant, and decides to tell his entire life story when Chick, I don't know if this is always her, says that they look alike. Like, who asked? In all seriousness though, it's pretty messed up that he had to go to boot camp and that his mother and sister were harassed because of the father of the family being branded as a traitor. She's so sweet. It's a shame that she only thinks about murder half of the time. Yeah, if we blow them up. Did you do that fucking deadpan stare into the camera? Big damage. Technique C? I just used a link attack. What, you're blaming me for not playing the game? Damn. And let me delay the other one. Because that is what you do in this game. You delay, you shoot, you fight, you... I don't know. Commit war crimes. I'm pretty sure this is a war crime simulator. I mean, you're literally using children to fight, but they have no other choice, right? 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 So the voice over the radio keeps encouraging the children to go into harm's way, and upon reaching the camp, they spot a tank that the game describes as eerily reminiscent of the Tyrannus. The Tyrannus too. I mean, the Tarascus. From the Tarascus, the voice of Schweinhax can be heard commenting on the Tyrannus and the legend of the Steel Devil. It is then revealed that the voice over the radio had played both sides. Huh. Who could have ever guessed that? It's not like she was a massive red flag or anything. Hax then admits to using slave labor in order to dig out the heart of the Vanargand and place it inside the Tarascus. Initially, it was planned to use the bioenergy that they extracted in order to awaken the heart, but the Tyrannus simply being in the vicinity made all of that redundant. The children then rightfully start to regret their actions before the Tyrannus starts to get a little weird. So if it wasn't really obvious from the story, the boss of chapter 10 is Schweinhax, or more specifically the Tarascus and the Menargarm. And they're weird. The Menargarm charges up over the course of 3 turns to deal some amount of damage. I say some amount of damage because I genuinely don't know how much it deals since I've never let it get to that point, and I sure didn't when recording the video. Either way, it starts out with 3 armor and has to be hit with 1 attack from each type of gun in order to be delayed, unless you stun it or delay it with a link, of course. I mean, you don't actually need to delay it if you kill it quick enough. Regardless, that thing is to this fight like the tower is to Kish's. Public enemy numero uno. It should go down first because of the threat it possesses. The Tarrascus, on the other hand, it's a pushover. The Tarrascus is weak to the type of gun it's using, and it starts off with using a machine gun. After its health has gone below 66%, it swaps from machine gun to grenade launcher, and Hax starts barking. Wait, what? He barks when using the grenade launcher? I guess he can't resist his primal urges when using it. It's fine, I understand. I too can't resist the sweet temptation to go feral when Jin erases ground enemies from this plane of existence. Anyways, at 33% or lower HP, if Hax gets a turn, he'll swap to a cannon along with gaining 5 armor. So those are the mechanics for this chapter's boss. It's nothing too challenging, you just have to know what to prioritize. Despite beating the boss the normal way, I could have actually used the soul cannon, but I doubt that would actually do anything since the Tyrannus was malfunctioning. Regardless, the Gasco army shows up after Hax trash talks the Tyrannus, and then he proceeds to commit mass murder. The children survive because of the shield's emergency deployment, and even though a bunch of people just died, Jin gets so hyped that he looks like he's going insane. This stunt leaves the Tyrannus immobilized, and Hax says that he's got a date with a dead god under furry Paris. A couple of hours later, the children notice that Brits had vanished, and this totally doesn't have anything to do with the letter. So it's revealed that he defected. On the other hand, the other children, who are still alive, find their relatives, and because the wiki told me lies and deceits about Brits, they find his mother and sister. I swear to God I'm never trusting that wiki ever again. After finding their loved ones, sorry Jin, the radio, but without a mechanical tone, tells them to go after Hax before he annihilates furry France. And the children do as it says, despite being manipulated moments prior. Chapter 11 is a bit freaky, and I hope you brought your meds, cause you'll need them for the boss. This chapter is more of a world-building chapter, so I'll just not. They mention the old world, and there's a big ol' head in the background you can see. Now, if she were to be alive, Sheena would comment on how the cave is filled with magical enriching crystals and such. Sounds like something you would call meth when asked by people who think you have healing crystals. I'm thinking grenade launcher, cause you know, Jin. Wait, it fucking failed? Bro! At least it doesn't consume my materials. I'm tired, my eye itches. I got no bitches. Please don't delay, Jin. Thank you. As a token of my thanks, I will murder you. Here, have a smoke. He could not handle the Zaza. This is very... Fuck. I didn't mean to light the kitchen on fire. I swear, I was only making popcorn in the pan. I didn't mean to light it on fire. What I do intend to do, though, is blow up the house. You know, insurance fraud. I'm just gonna risk it, honestly. Oh. Oh. Huh. Strange. Ignoring my crippling meth addiction, the Girl of Light also tries to stop the children once more, and Brits intercepts the Tyrannus at the end like a rival in Pokemon, giving everybody depression. Despite the depression, Brits is an easy fight. There are two ways of going about it. Either you take your meds and speed through, or you take your time by not using peace candies. Either way, it doesn't change the fact that he's going down. Brits' gimmick in this fight is that he has 3 states that all have different weaknesses, these being Reluctance, Resolution, and Confusion. He begins the fight with Reluctance, where he focuses on delaying you. and then after a while he moves on to resolution. In this state, he starts to prioritize damage, culminating in the usage of despair. After using despair, he's forced into the state of confusion, where he doesn't attack, but instead heals you. He then returns to reluctance after a while, and the cycle repeats. That's basically everything he has to offer.
If you keep up like this, you'll never catch up with the Tarascus. Which is exactly why I'm here.
No. You're here to die. After totaling his Mercedes, Brits gets out and discloses what the letter said, before...
No.
What? Sheena was apparently refilled with juice and told Brits that they found his family at the camp. It seems those crystals really were drugs, or the children are just schizophrenic, I guess. I mean, that could very well be true since they're fighting on the fronts. Like, that would do some serious damage to your brain. If we pretend that my comment didn't happen, then this occurrence is actually really strange, because it shouldn't happen. I've juiced Sheena. So what's at play? Well, I have one explanation, and it has to do with the good ending. For the good ending, you need every single one of the children to be alive. This includes Brits. So the game assumes you have Sheena when you're saving him, because you also need her for the good ending. Other than that, it could be like some of the other cutscenes, where they choose a random child to say the line, and it just so happened to get Sheena even though she's supposed to be dead. I would assume that there's normally a restriction, but that it's gone since this is required for the good ending. Now, I didn't actually intend on saving Brits and experiencing Sheena rising from the grave, because I thought I didn't meet the requirements for saving him. After finishing the game, you learn that you're supposed to have less than 5 link events with Brits in order for him to not meet the requirements. Guess what the wiki said? So instead of committing Sudoku, which he allegedly does if you don't become his therapist, he joins the crew again, ready to fuel my crippling addiction to stun. Help, it's only a matter of time. They manage to leave the cave, and the creepy voice returns, telling the children that the Vanargand must and is about to be awakened, while also mentioning that it's the AI of the Tyrannus, John. The children are rightfully confused as to why the Vanargand has to be awakened, and John basically says it's more fun that way. Sheesh, and they call me obsessive. Also, I didn't pay much attention to it, but since the Tyrannus doesn't have a window on the front and instead uses monitors, where are the cameras? And how haven't they been destroyed? From Dawn to Noon on the Sea, otherwise known as Chapter 12, is a very, very story-intensive chapter. Like it should be, it's the last chapter. So I am going to shorten it. A lot. You are basically getting the Spark Notes. Hex becomes one with the Vanargand through the Tarascus, and thus it awakens. This sends John into a frenzy, and the Girl of Light confronts John and fuses with her to become the real complete John. The real complete John spews out some lore about the old world, i.e. the Tyrannus herself and the Vanargand, and then they continue. The Vanargand rises from the ground with Paresia on its back, and in order to enter Paresia, the Tyrannus somehow defies gravity by going up its side. In Paresia, the Tyrannus falls through the ground and enters the back rooms that are the inside of the Vanargand. And then we can confront Hax. Did you catch all that? Me neither. Anyways. Do I wanna get obliterated by the fucking thing on his side? Yes. Well, 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 look who it is. It's the Chapter 10 boss. Who could have thought? It's definitely not like Hax said he was going to go underneath Paresia in order to awaken the Vanargand. No, why would he do that? Yeah, this is basically just the same fight as in Chapter 10. The only difference being the stats and a few new elements. The new elements being orbs that Hax summons. What they do? I don't fucking know. I only know what the red one does, and I think I have an inkling of what another one does, the blue one, but I don't know what the yellow one does. One thing that they all got in common is that they are weak to the color they are. So, the red is weak to the red cannon, the yellow is weak to the yellow grenade launcher, and blue is weak to the blue machine gun. Now, I also seem to remember that they all give SP when they're defeated. And individually, the red one can heal, the blue one I seem to remember gives armor, and the yellow one I don't know anything about, but I'm assuming it has something to do with buffing or debuffing, because that would make sense. And yes, I'm too lazy to look it up. What do you take me for? A nerd? Well, that's wrong, because I'm a dumbass. And like a dumbass, I only now realize that each stage of his fight actually has a special move. Anyways, like other bosses in this game, I bullied Hax with stun to the point where he didn't even get to change to his cannon mode. And there goes my idea of showing everything from the boss. I mean, I obviously didn't follow that with a Monarch arm.
You damn steel devil. I will not admit defeat. I cannot die. I am a god. By my divine judgment, I will seal the devil.
No, he's activated the Vanargan to obliterate the entire country.
D'un ton grave, Jeanne s'adressa aux enfants.
There's nothing we can do to stop the Tarascus now except...
Les enfants ne lui laissèrent pas le temps de terminer sa phrase.
Use my life. I have no regrets. I have always lived for others, and now's no different. Oh, come on. Let's just use my life and finish this.
I'll do it. I want to be useful. Me. I want to save everybody. I want to get rid of him myself. I'll be the hero to save the whole world.
Let me go. Guys, I have no family waiting for me.
No, you guys already did so much for me. Please, let me repay you all with my life.
I understand. Once again, I take this sin upon myself. Please forgive me for failing to protect your precious lives. This will be the Soul Cannon's last. Ooh, I can actually use him this time. This time we're using Jin. Sadly, regrettably.
No, I will become a god. Glory to the Burman Empire.
Suite à l'attaque dévastatrice de la bête, le continent s'était déchiré et laissait désormais place à un archipel d'îles flottantes. La région de Parésia, où se tenait le Vanargand, était maintenant une île à part entière. Soudain, la créature implosa dans une déflagration phénoménale qui emporta la capitale et l'île. Les morceaux du Vanargand se dispersèrent dans le ciel avant de tomber dans la mer de nuages en contrebas. Depuis les débris, s'échappa une masse qui s'écrasa violemment sur un îlot à la dérive. C'était le Taranis, du moins ce qu'il en restait après le choc. Quelques heures plus tard, l'armée de Gasco, à bord de dirigeables Berman, trouva les enfants inconscients, blottis à l'intérieur de la machine en ruine.
The children! There they are. In a pretty bad shape, but alive. Medics, those of you who are available, gather round. Do not under any circumstances allow these children to die. Get to it!
I am so sorry. We shouldn't have let you kids get caught up in a battle like this. You are heroes, saviors of Gasco. No, the entire world. Our thanks will never be enough. Thank you, really, thank you. I promise we will bring Gasco back to peace.
L'armée Berman, dépourvue de son général, s'était désormais retirée et avait signé un armistice avec les terres libres de Gasco. Contraint de vivre sur ces îles flottantes séparées par les nuages, le peuple de Gasco se hâta d'étudier la technologie aéronautique des dirigeables Berman. Malgré la destruction du continent et les profondes blessures provoquées par la guerre, le peuple de Gasco commençait petit à petit à repartir de l'avant. Les enfants qui avaient survécu à la bataille portaient dans leur cœur le poids des vies de leurs compagnons disparus. Nous ne les oublierons jamais.
Fuck. I'm beginning to tear up, actually. What happens if I juiced one of the twins? Just some extra thoughts now that this is done. I forgot to react a bit more to the ending since I wanted to respect the game, and I was also focused on other things when recording it. Since the next Fuga video is going to focus more on getting the secret ending, I'll try to be a bit more reactive. I probably won't be recording or showing every single step in the process of attaining the secret ending, since it'd probably be more fun if you experience the game yourself. Also, as a self-imposed challenge, I won't be using any status effects when doing that playthrough. Other than that video, I still have others to do. And while I'm on the topic of other videos, the frequency is going to take a dip. Like the intervals between the art I post, there's not going to be a structure, simply posting whenever I feel like it. So don't go expecting me to drop something often. In return, I'm going to focus more on quality by gathering and possibly making assets to use. This also means I'm going to change the format of my videos, maybe for the better or maybe for the worse. We'll see. It kinda depends on what kind of video I'm making, or what game I'm playing, because all games play differently, thus requiring different editing. Now, you already know I'm gonna play Fuga 2, and I'm gonna do that chapter by chapter, but the other ones, I'm just gonna leave them as a surprise. I might also branch out and try new things. And with that said, laters.
Au milieu des vestiges de la bataille qui flottaient toujours à la dérive, une vieille radio perdue au milieu des débris répétait les mêmes mots sans cesse.
Les prochaines fois, je me laisserai. Personne me rêve.